When I was about middle school age, I had another dream, and I dreamed that I was a sister and I was running a home for children. And this dream didn't develop in just one dream. It was several dreams over several years. Hi, I'm Sister Catherine Nagl, and I run the Ministry of the Family of the Good Shepherd Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit here in the Diocese of Grand Island, Nebraska, with permission of the bishop. And this is my story. I was born at Offutt Air Force Base in Bellevue, Nebraska. And at the time of my birth, I was born a few weeks early, and the doctors told my parents that I would probably never be able to breathe independently. And my parents dedicated me to Our Lady. And a few days later, I went home from the hospital with them with no oxygen, breathing on my own. When I was about 3, we were in a city. I'm not sure what city we were in. And the first time I saw street children. And it was dusk, and asked my parents what those kids were doing outside. And my parents told me that they didn't have anywhere to live. And so I, of course, thought they should come home with me because I thought it was terrible that they didn't have any place to live. Around the age of 4, my parents became foster parents by request of a friend who had called my parents and asked them to become foster parents for his daughter until he could be stationed back in the States. Not long after that, after my first grade year, we moved to southern Missouri. And while we were in southern Missouri during my second grade year, one night I had this dream that Jesus had come into my room and woke me up and spent some time talking to me. And in the morning, I woke up very, very excited and went and told my parents, that Jesus had come in and talked to me. And one of the things he had talked to me about was he wanted me to be a sister. And so they were fine with that. They were like, oh, okay, that's good, and left it at there. And from there we moved to Pensacola, Florida. While we were there, my parents once again became foster parents, usually specialty foster home, either a therapeutic foster home, and they'd also alternate with being a home for children born addicted to or with drugs and alcohol in their system. When I was about middle school age in there, I had another dream. And I dreamed that I was a sister and I was running a home for children. And this dream didn't develop in just one dream. It was several dreams over several years of having this home for children and being a sister and having other sisters who were with me working in this home. It developed over time. But the one thing I was real hesitant with, and as these dreams developed, was I was supposed to start this community of sisters who ministered to children in need. That was something I was really uncomfortable with for quite a long while. I had my running shoes on about that one because while I loved the idea of working with children in need, and I really felt it was going to be a ministry, I'd say to people, the day is coming when there's going to be children who need a home. And they won't be able to go home and they won't be available for adoption, and they'll need somewhere to live. So as time went on, towards the end of my college career, I was taking some diocesan courses for diocesan ministry. And we were at the end of my college career and at the end of the diocesan ministry courses, and we were on retreat. And at this retreat, I was in the chapel praying and really asking God, okay, Lord, I'm at a juncture, what do you want me to do with my life? And what I heard inside of me was, you already know what I want you to do with your life. And I was like, oh, okay. So at that point, again, I still was not comfortable with starting a religious community. At that point, I wasn't even sure about being a sister. So I found a missionary community that worked with children, and I joined that community as a layperson at first. And it was not long before the Lord moved me into the sisters within that community. And while I was in this community, I served in education, both traditional education and Montessori education. And towards the end of my time in this community, I served at a ministry in a home for pregnant teens and teen moms. I started out as a house parent, and then I worked my way up into coordinator of residential care in that home. While I was there, during this time, this calling, this desire to really serve kids in need, children in need, really developed and became really strong. As time went on, I discerned that it was time to leave this community, and so I left the community. And so the name The Family of the Good Shepherd Incorporated came fairly quickly because we needed a name in order to do the paperwork for the nonprofit. And then I started the work of finding a diocese to start this ministry in. And it was the Grand Island Diocese in Nebraska that gave permission for me to come in and start this ministry. And during this time, since I'd had all my background checks and everything, I started working with adoptive families, families who are struggling with their adopted children and yet wanted to keep the family intact and, wanted to know how do we work with these children? How do we help them when they've been through so much trauma? And once I was licensed, I started also getting foster children, and so I have continued the ministry of serving foster children and serving adopted children. In this ministry, I do not technically adopt children. However, I do have guardianship of some of the children in the home due to the children not being available for adoption and yet not being able to return home. Some of the children in my home from the state, some of them go home to their parents, which is always nice to see. And some of them have gone for adoption with families, and we've kept in touch with families who have adopted the children out of the Family of the Good Shepherd. As we progress and grow, I feel called to continue to work with foster children and adoptive families and private placement children. Ever since I worked with the Home for Pregnant Teens and Teen Moms, there's also a part of me that feels one day there should be one of those homes. It may not be in this state, but in time, having one of those homes as well. There's a variety of ways we can serve children that I see, and I think that's where the Sisters come in. The name for the Sisters community did not come right away. It came over time. It's come more recently, and the name that the Lord gave me was the Daughters of Mary, Mother of Jesus the Good Shepherd. We've had some inquiries. We haven't had anyone join yet, but I feel in time the Lord will bring women, and I've had people say to me, there are women out there who have the same call. The ministry supports itself through funds from the state. We also receive private donations, monetary donations, physical donations, and sometimes we even get donations of food. So there's a variety of ways people support this ministry. And of course, to me, the biggest way that people support this ministry is through prayer and friendship.